How can you not get pumped after hearing that, man? Doesn't it just make you want to go out and just do something? Woo! What's up, guys? Welcome back. Turnpike to Turnpike Fantasy Football 2014. This is the Week 7 preview show. I'm League Commissioner Kevin Babula. Wow, what a week, guys. What a week. Let's get right to it. Last week we had a bunch of great games, some really close ones, we had some blowouts, lots of high scoring, we had some injuries happen, some players went out for the season. Wow, I don't know where to begin. How about we start off with the father-in-law, son-in-law matchup between John Moore's Downingtown Gravediggers taking on Matt Dreyfus's Fishtown Off in a Corner. Matt wins this one, 122 over 79. Matt got 33 points out of Jordan Cameron, 30 points out of Andrew Luck. What a great quarterback. 23 points out of his running back, great free agent pickup, Brandon Oliver. Where John got 22 points out of his Titans defense, 16 out of his wide receiver, Brandon Marshall, and 13 out of his quarterback, Matt Stafford. Up next, we have really what I know a lot of people were looking forward to, and it was Bob Crane taking on Jeffariah Hezekiah Goldenbaum. Now, I know Jeff, and I know what a good heart he has for being such an old bastard, and I'm sure that his silence on the league message board this past week was in protest to the harsh treating that myself and Brian Sheehan bestowed upon Mr. Bob Crane. Jeff always tells me, I'm too hard on Bobby. I'm too hard on Bobby. He doesn't... Well, you see, the problem is with that, and I was, and so is Brian, but it's because he brings it on himself. These emails and text messages, it never ends. Nobody else does that. That's why he deserved a beating. I didn't pick on him because of his stature, or because of his appearance, or because of his intelligence. I picked on him specifically and solely on the fact because he annoys the hell out of me with his emails and texts and his self-bravado. Anyway, getting back to what I was trying to say, Jeff, it must have been very difficult for you to have to put the beating on Bob that you did again. 145 to 103. Jeff gets 38 points out of Giovanni Bernard, 22 points out of DeMarco Murray, and 22 points out of the Denver Bronco defense, where Bobby got 34 points out of Steve Smith, senior, 28 points out of Aaron Rodgers, and 16 points out of the Baltimore Ravens defense. Now, Bobby, to be fair, your Calvin Johnson pick that you beat your chest about all post-draft, he wasn't there again for you, and it looks like he might not be there for a couple more weeks. Should have took Matt Forte. Up next, we have my match from last week when I took on Kenny's Godfathers, My Warriors of Babylon. And My Warriors of Babylon prevailed 122 to 105. I got 29 points out of my quarterback, Jay Cutler, 21 points out of my wide receiver, Jordy Nelson, and 20 points out of the Arizona Cardinals defense. Where Kenny got 38 points from T.Y. Hilton, 30 points out of Arian Foster, and 11 points out of Russell Wilson. Now, here's what I love, Kenny, is the fact that I stared at that big number you put up on the screen that Thursday night game. 38 points out of T.Y. Hilton, 30 points out of Arian Foster. You had to go to bed feeling, I have got this. God, that was a great feeling on Sunday when I realized that wasn't happening. And when Russell Wilson threw that interception to end the game and end your chances. Woo! Woo! It was awesome. Up next we've got really what was the game that I thought was going to be the game of the week, and it really, as these things never seem to do, this one actually did come through, and that was Deputy Commissioner Chris Long's Asgardian Thundergons taking on Jeff Zeminski's Paper Tiger. Jeff wins this one 139 to 129. Jeff got 31 points out of Phillip Rivers, another phenomenal game out of a great quarterback. Matt Forte, 27 points. Bob, don't you wish you had those points? Don't you wish you had those 27 points, Bobby? Don't you, Bobby? Don't you? And 19 points out of Ben Tate. Where, Chris, you got 32 points out of your Detroit Lions defense, 23 out of Demaryius Thomas. That's 2 solid weeks in a row out of Demaryius Thomas. You got to be feeling good about his resurgence. and 20 points out of your quarterback for that week, Carson Palmer. Chris let me in on a little secret. He also had Joe Flacco, and he forgot to start him. This would have been a different result. Woo! Another match of a big beatdown here. We've got Brian Sheehan's Michael Sam's Gerbils taking on Mike Bond's These Fall Blunts. And Mike loses again, where Brian wins this one 140 to 100. Sheehan got 45 points out of the Tom Brady. Boy, I guess we were spreading dirt on that grave too quickly there, right, with Tom Brady. Since that bad effort a couple weeks ago, he's come back on a mission. 34 points out of Deshaun Jackson, and 17 points out of Julius Thomas, his tight end. Orban, you got 19 points out of LaShawn McCoy. There's been a LaShawn McCoy sighting, folks. He almost got 20 points this week. Incredible. Tony Romo got him 18, and 18 points out of Alshon Jeffrey. And in our last match from last week, Greg Long's Mount Laurel Lancers took on Aaron Stampa's Snoozy Loafs. Now, Greg wins this one 102 to 75. Greg got 23 points out of Mohamed Sanu, his wide receiver. Peyton Manning, his quarterback, got him 23 points. And his defense, San Francisco 49ers, also got him 22 points. Aaron, you got 16 points out of your quarterback, Nick Foles. Your wide receiver, Andre Johnson, got you 13. And your other receiver, Mike Wallace, got you 12. So, that was last week. And now we come to that point in the show where we go, all right, who's the Meet the Manager going to be this week? The past couple weeks, they were pretty simple. First week, we went Goldie. It made sense. I wanted to get him involved, the defending champion. He's off to a great start. I wanted him on. Then after that, I wanted to get Saminsky because we've never had him on. So I wanted to get him on the air and get him going. And right after that, I wanted to get the winner of a Long Bowl. So we got Deputy Commissioner Chris Long on. And then last week, of course, we had Brian Sheehan. So it was kind of, I struggled a little bit. Who did I want to get? Who did I want to get? Who did I want to get? I like vegetables. Of course it had to be the vegan. Of course it had to be the new guy. Let's find out what this new guy could possibly be thinking as he's entered this league. He gets a win early on, and then boom, he's off to this 1-5 start. Of course I'm talking about Aaron Stampa. I spoke to him a little while ago, and it was an all right interview. I spoke, I think, more than him, which I know is surprising to most of you out there. But he did do one thing that I found amazing, and this is a new thing that I'm really excited about, because as he was speaking, if you pay attention to the video, you'll probably see the light bulb go off in my head when I realized that I wanted to do something. And what I want to do right now is start what I want to call the you know tracker. Let's have fun counting how many times Aaron says you know in this segment of Meet the Manager right now. So joining me tonight on this week's Meet the Manager segment, I figured we'll turn to the new guy in the league, see how he feels about the first half of the season, and see if he regrets actually joining the league. And of course I'm talking about Snoozy Loafs owner Aaron Stampa. Aaron, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. So let's get to it. How are you taking the 1-5 start?
It's brutal, and that's all I have to say about it.
Now, you won your first game. Was it the first week or the second week?
I think it was one of the two. I think it was the second week.
Okay, so pretty quickly you got a win, and you probably thought, all right, this is going to be easy. I can hang with these guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a tough league. I mean, I'm struggling at 3-3, and I've been in the league since the beginning. It's a difficult league to try to figure out. What's amazing is, and you're going to be, this is just going to make you feel even worse, is Bond won this in his first year in the league.
Yeah. Well, in our office league, I won the whole thing, and I thought to myself, well, I mean, if I can win in the office league, I can win in the pay league.
Yeah.
And obviously, that's not the case.
Yeah, that's because in our office league, people like Anthony Parisi are in it.
Well, yeah.
And Al Rivera. And Al Rivera last year, forgive me if I'm wrong, cut Josh Gordon in like week 7, and you just picked him up off waivers, right?
If I remember correctly, he cut him because he was on the bye. And I I looked at his stats and I was like, I don't know who just gave this guy up, but I'm picking him up. You know?
Yeah. So, listen, there's a couple things I want to clarify for everybody because really, you are the new guy in the league. We've been together a long time. I want to try to get, it is Meet the Manager. So, other than the fact that you're a vegan and I had that really cool music for you at the draft, that's really anybody. That's what anybody knows about you, and you really don't know a lot about the guys in the league. So I can give you some information on the league, and I think the guys will like hearing this. A lot of us have been together for a long time. People like Crane and Sheen and Goldie, they're all original members, and I used to work with them a long time ago. And that was, decades ago, really. But, what feels like. But then there was this transition to this new life that I have where I moved out to Pennsylvania or started working in Pennsylvania. And I started to incorporate people around GSI/Fanatics into the league. And there was a feeling at the time, there were some grumblings from the older members of the league because I work for, Fanatics and work for NFL Shop, and I'm bringing in Saminsky and people from Jeff was in it first, and then that I was bringing in people that, work for NFL Shop/NFL. They must know what they're doing and, sway the powers in the league to people who might know things about the NFL. I just want to thank you and Mike Bond for dispelling that myth.
Yeah. So anyway, the thing with it is, I think what I'm trying to do here is I start small with just about, anything. Everything's a gradual process with me.
Okay.
So when the Eagles drafted Mike Vick, obviously because I'm a vegan, I really didn't like it at all, especially because I own a pit bull and it just struck a bad chord. So there was like a good year or two where I just stopped following football altogether.
That's fair.
That's actually, I wasn't diehard to begin with, but it was one of those things where, I never followed football as closely as I am with this league. And, it's like my girlfriend will tell you, it's, all three games, that are on, Comcast, I don't have Red Zone because I'm not that diehard yet. But everything that's on, Comcast, I'm usually flipping through and watching the highlight reels. And obviously we have ESPN and SportsCenter on at work, and whenever I'm in the break room, I'm taking a look at what's going on there. So it's all for me. I knew this year I wasn't going to be a contender by any means.
Okay.
But I figure it's one of those things where I'm going to take this step by step. I'm really using this year as more of a strategic, relearn how everything's, going on in football right now.
Well,
and I hope to be a contender in 2 or 3 years, by really paying close attention and really doing my homework.
Well, I got to tell you, that's a very good answer. It actually brings me into what my next question was going to be, and you already answered it. I just wanted to make sure that I will not be searching for yet another new member next year, so you will be taking the spot again in Turnpike to Turnpike next year.
Yeah, I'll definitely
excellent.
be doing it.
That's excellent. We've been together a long time. I would guess pretty strongly that if you do indeed come back next year, I think that we probably will be the full returning league that we had, which would be, it's rare for us to do that. We've always had a little bit of turnover, especially in the spot you're in. A lot of guys have owned that team throughout the course of this. Is there anything that you want to share as to what you've discovered in terms of the camaraderie of the league? Have you noticed anything through the draft, through message boards, through these videos of how ruthless any of us can be?
Obviously I knew just by you owning the league that, I was in for some ball busting, and obviously around the office, we definitely do our fair share of, hazing for me, the new guy, obviously. And like I said, it's one of those things where, I'm just gonna keep my head down. If you've noticed, I don't trash talk anybody, because as soon as I trash talk people, it all goes to hell. But recently, in both leagues that I'm in, it's not working. So maybe I should be trash talking people as I'm maybe at a brief point where I'm winning at, maybe on like a Thursday where nobody else had played on the other team.
That's fair. Hey, listen, you don't have to be winning to trash talk. Bob Crane does a really good job of it. And, that's probably the reason why everybody in this league wants to beat him so badly. But that's another story. But that's good news. And listen, I'm going to let you go. I know you're busy. I just wanted to talk to you real quick, let the guys get to know you a little bit. And hopefully your second half of this year will turn around. Again, I've said it to you in the office. I've said it to everybody on this tapes before. Jeff Goldenbaum won this last year after starting 0-4. You're not out of it yet. Another couple losses you will be, obviously. But,
right.
Keep it going. The Eddie Lacy pick, man, has got to be killing you.
Him, Doug Martin. I mean, I've been through a couple of defenses. The only solid piece which kind of surprised me because I didn't really, especially after the 49ers game with Nick Foles. Like, I thought the wheels were going to come off with that, but hell, he came back and, he got me a decent amount of points. So he's been probably my most consistent player.
Yeah, definitely.
But everybody that's, that was, top five, an eighth I'm finding is a hard position to draft in, in some aspects.
Yeah.
But, it's one of those things where I'm just trying to think okay, so next year when I come back to this, I got to be smart about who I'm playing and I'm picking things up a little bit because everybody's so much more advanced in this league than last year.
Right.
So I'm trying to really if I'm playing, a certain player and their, stats are one way or another, I'm trying to obviously juke them in my favor. You know what I mean? But it just seems like, Doug Martin got me 4 points, and he's probably, I think, at his most, he got me 11 one game. You know what I mean? So basically, I'm taking it all in stride, like I said before, and I'm just going to keep coming back, for next year and hopefully years to come to hopefully be an actual contender, like I said.
Cool, man. Don't give up on this year.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely, with my game this week, the position rankings are all messed up. So it's, and by messed up, it's just not in my favor. You know what I mean? But, hopefully I get some breaks. I don't hope that anybody gets injured by any means. But, I mean, if it works my way, then hell, okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah, I'm not counting this year out. Not yet. I hope to at least, not have just one win,
All right, man. Well, listen, thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you during the rest of the season. All right, man?
Yep.
All right, man.
Good, dude.
Bye.
Bye.
That's Aaron Stampa, owner of the Snoozy Loafs. Wow. Anyway, let's get to this coming week's matchups. Aaron, I love you, but man, that is one verbal crutch. Holy cow. Woo! Okay, first off, let's get to my matchup coming up this week, and really what I think is going to be the game of the week. And I think, let's put a poll up on here right now. I'm taking on Bob Crane, and Bob and I both know we're Mark guys. We know that all of you love playing us, and you're always having fun. Who's going to knock us off? So here's the question. Which one do you want to see lose more, me or Bob? Jeff Goldenbaum, I know you're going to put me down, so I'll just mark you down already as somebody who wants to see me lose. But the rest of you, do you want to see Bob lose or do you want to see me lose? All right? That's what I'm curious about. Here's the poll for this week. I take on Julius Jones, Bob Crane's team. Warriors of Babylon versus Julius Jones. Jay Cutler versus Aaron Rodgers. Jordy Nelson versus Steve Smith Sr. When did he become senior? You have a kid and all of a sudden he becomes senior? Travis Kelce versus Jason Witten or Larry Donnell or whoever else tight end you're going to roll out there. I know my Kyle Rudolph pick is going to just come back to bite me in the ass. You're going to be without a lot, Bob, in this one. To be fair, you're probably going to be without Calvin again, that number one great pick that you took in fourth pick overall. Ryan Matthews is going to be out. Rashad Jennings might be out. You might have a lot of injuries. So, I mean, Tough shit. I really don't care. In the next match, we've got Matt Dreyfus' Fishtown off in the corner taking on Kenny's Godfathers, Kenny Long's team. This is a matchup between Andrew Luck and Cam Newton, Julio Jones and T.Y. Hilton, Jordan Cameron and Vernon Davis. You're not gonna. Some big names are gonna be out of this one too. You know, AJ Green could be out for you, Matt. Eric Decker could be out for you, Kenny. So should be an interesting game. Another one here. We got Mike Bonds, East Falls Blunts taking on the Hamilton Square Possum. Wow. This could get ugly. We're talking Romo versus Ryan. Okay. Alshon versus Garcon. And then you got the three-headed running back monster that is Golden Bomb's team in DeMarco Murray, Giovanni Bernard, and even Lamar Miller. I mean, it's getting really tough. And of course, Bond, you're going to be without Monte Ball, not a big loss there, but you're also going to be without your number 1 draft pick overall, and LaShawn McCoy, who looked to have signs of life last week. Jeff Zeminski's Paper Tigers taking on John Moore's Downingtown Gravediggers, Stafford versus Rivers, Forte versus Gore, Antonio Brown versus Brandon Marshall. That's a really great matchup. And John, it looks like you're going to be without Jimmy Graham again. That's going to be tough for you to overcome. Our guest earlier today, Aaron Stampa, you know, he's going to be like without, Nick Foles, and maybe, Vincent Jackson, you know what I'm saying, But you are going to have Eli Manning going up against Tom Brady, Eddie Lacy against Jamal Charles, Andre Johnson against Deshaun Jackson, And in the last match from next week, it's going to be Mount Laurel Lancers, Greg Long's team, taking on his father, Greg Long. That's right, or Chris Long. That's right. Another Long Bowl. We have Greg versus Chris, Deputy Commissioner Chris Long, in Long Bowl 2 on the season. Peyton Manning versus Drew Brees. Doesn't get bigger names than that. Lev Bell versus Fred Jackson. There's a little bit of a, Mohamed Sanu versus Denarius Thomas. Of course, you could still start Victor Cruz. Greg, he is still on your bench for some reason. And I also noticed you don't have another tight end after Zach Ertz. So it's going to be interesting, guys, to see what happens on the waiver wire because Greg needs a tight end. Okay. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it this week. I want to thank Aaron Stamper for joining us, Until then, I'm Lee Commissioner, Kevin Mabula. I'm going to say it in a second, but before that I want to say, enjoy this.